Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, happy hump day, everybody. Boy, do we got lots to get into today on the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations. EmergingINV.com is the website, Tampa Bay's #1 private investigation agency. Also by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES, JeevesLawGroup.com. Wow. Speaking of group, boy, two of these that made a lot of money. Unfortunately, we learned yesterday that Tom Brady and Giselle, well, if you listened to the show, you probably knew this was going on. Anyway, as we talked about this a month ago when Tom left for camp, that his marriage was on the rocks and this was pending. And we find out yesterday that they have Brady and Giselle now hired attorneys and are going to go through what may be one of the biggest divorce cases in the history of America. Very sad for Tom, very sad for Giselle, but they'll be fine. They'll be fine. A lot worse situations in the world. We're going to talk about in terms of the impact and just the social media on this alone is just off the charts. So we'll get into that today. Corey Long's going to join us to talk a little Bolts and college football at 10:30. And we got Jeff Scott's presser yesterday that needs to be dissected. Wow, that was just a little bizarre. Todd Bowles had some comments on his show last night that were a little eyebrow raising as well. And, of course, the Rays now are locked into playing the Guardians, as we knew they would be. And that's going to start on Friday. So I'll say good morning to you, Nick Geddes from Outsider.com. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Way to bury the lead.
What was the lead?
The most important event that's going on today.
What, Aaron Judge hit 62?
No. The 7th most home runs in a single season is not news today.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we got football tonight. We got football tonight on ESPN2.
What?
The best team in the American,
what?
In the state of Florida.
What?
Is on TV tonight.
What? UCF's playing tonight?
The UCF Knights are playing tonight at home.
Wednesday night football?
Wednesday night football.
Is no night sacred anymore?
No night is sacred. We were scheduled for Saturday, pushed back to Wednesday because of the storm. So we got a night one tonight against SMU on ESPN. Wow.
Oh, that is a good one.
So
that is a good
should be
one.
An offensive explosion.
Two future opponents for
our
USF.
I should say our USF Bulls, but almost
we'll
slipped there.
We'll do a little scouting to see how much they're going to lose by to these two teams.
No, that's where my attention's tonight.
That's good. I did not know that. You know what? I'm going to watch that. I'm going to watch that college football game tonight.
Well, there's no need to turn on the Rays tonight. No need to watch game 162. No need.
No need to watch any of these games this week.
No.
Except this. Well, I'm not saying I was smiling when it happened last night, but Colin Poche will not be on the postseason roster. Is that bad? I'm terrible.
I mean, there was a lot of people.
We wish you well, Colin Poche. That's fine. It happens. Injuries happen. He won't be on the postseason roster. So that there's a development with the Rays in that regard. So they'll have to find another left-handed reliever. So that's and we'll get into the Rays today as we'll see to look at the matchup a little closer against the Guardians. I just can't do it, man. I just have such a hard time saying Guardians. It's so dumb. Like they couldn't have come up with something any better than that. The Guardians? Whatever. We'll talk about that as well. All right. So let's we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I think we all have to acknowledge. I think we all need to acknowledge that what's been happening with Tom Brady. And by the way, the first thing to acknowledge is I don't see where this has affected his play at all. I know that his stats have not been good, and people are pointing out, well, he dumped Giselle to have a quarterback rating lower than Zach Wilson or whatever, who had whatever hack that they put up there. Cooper Rush, whatever. And I'm like, come on, man. I mean, there's going to be cheap shots on Brady. You know it's coming all over social media. But if you've watched the games and you've watched how the games have developed and you've looked at the injury situation and how this team is set up, I'm just not going to go there and say that his lack of time with, Russell Gage in practice, or his lack of time with, these other guys has affected the team on the field. They have, first of all, they're 2-2 and with a very, very tough schedule to start the season. 3 of the 4 teams they played are 3-1. And the other team is their nemesis, the Saints, who they finally beat. So if you're sitting here saying that this team is a disaster, I'm not buying it. And offensively, this team is set up for Brady to take advantage of all of his weapons from the pocket, and he hasn't had the weapons in the pocket. And his offensive line is very much a work in progress. So if you're going to make the case that this off-field distraction has bothered Tom Brady, I'm not buying it. And I don't think it's going to bother him in a negative way moving forward. I just don't. I think he's too mentally strong for that. I think if anything, I think this situation will ignite him even more, because if there's one thing we know about Tom Brady is when adversity strikes, he gets more focused and more determined.
Brady has been divorced already once before.
I don't think he ever married Bridget Wanahan, but a relationship went awry. All right.
Whatever.
Yes.
Okay. He had that happen.
Technically, people will point that out, but
whatever. Spygate happened. Deflategate happened. The comments that he had in that book, or Tom versus Time, whatever, the thing about him and Belichick, that happened.
Yep.
He's had an entire career filled with off-the-field stuff going on, and people talking about it nonstop and never talking about the game and nitpicking holes in his game like they're doing this week. It's been going on for 23 years. This guy's immune to it.
Right.
This guy's immune to it. I know that you're in all the press conferences, and you could say that, his demeanor looks different this year.
It is.
And maybe that's true.
It is.
And maybe that's true. At the end of the day, he's human.
Yep.
And that is what it is. But when he gets on the football field, I haven't seen anything that alarms me, anything that tells me this guy's in decline, anything that tells me that any of these off the field issues are plaguing his what he's doing on the field. So I think they're fine, or at least he's fine. And it's a sad thing, and you almost feel uncomfortable talking about somebody else's marriage, but the reality is this is one of the most identifiable athletes on the entire planet, with a supermodel wife who everybody on the planet knows. So of course it's going to be talked about.
Of course
it's going to be in the papers.
And it's fair game. When you're in the public eye like this, for those people who say, oh, well, you shouldn't be talking about this. It should be. I'm like, first of all, there are questions on whether it will affect the Buccaneers. I'm here to answer that question. My expertise in covering this team and covering Tom Brady, and the contacts that we've had, and we have contacts, obviously, because we've been all over this story for a month and a half. I'm telling you, the Lululemon crowd at the Davis Island Coffee Bar is rock solid. It's rock solid information. That's why we have these people on the ground giving us this very good information, that we've been all over this story from the very beginning. So we'll just let that go. But I was at Publix yesterday, and right there, we mentioned 2 months ago, the star had it right there. Brady Giselle on the precipice of $600 million divorce.
Yeah, I mean, go look at people.com every single day, or People Magazine. It's everywhere.
There you go.
Everywhere.
There you go. So it's fair game, and there's everybody's talking about it. So I do think it's fair to say, how will this affect the team? Will it? And there's so many assumptions going around. Well, Giselle hasn't been at the games. Maybe Tom doesn't want her there. Why did they break up? That's their business. AB putting out his post the other day with Giselle hugging him, saying, "Put this is on." Come on. I mean, there's people are talking. And if that happened, oh, wow. All I can say is wow. This Zach Wilson tweet was a meme, right? This wasn't true, right?
This is a meme.
Okay.
These are memes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure, because I had to.
There were 2 people that were trending yesterday for the same reason. It was Zach Wilson and Pete Davidson.
So my advice to Tom Brady and every other athlete: stay off social media. And coach, by the way, which we will get into here with Jeff Scott, stay off social media. You have your people put your tweets out and have your people do what they do. don't read the stuff, don't get on there. It's not worth
Yeah.
it. But I mean, if it were anybody else than Tom Brady, I might worry. If it was a younger quarterback or anybody else, I might worry. I'm not worried about him. I think because it is real. These things are real. He's a human being like everybody else. When things go bad in your marriage, if there was infidelity one way or the other, whatever happened, or it was just Giselle not wanting him to play anymore, and him, a lot of memes going around like you gave up Giselle for football. I don't think it's that simple, but that's obviously part of the equation.
And listen, I think the response, at least from Bucs fans, a little maybe not knowing how to react. It's because you think about it. There has never been, I think, if you add up Bucs, Rays, Lightning, all their years of being franchises, we've never had an athlete even near the level of Tom Brady in fame.
No,
we never have.
Not even close.
Compare it to Miami, Los Angeles, New York, Chicago. This stuff is almost routine. These fans have to be immune with it. You just know you sign up. When you sign up to get these these famous athletes like this, it's just kind of what you get.
Yep.
I mean, I watched a lot of stuff. I watched an A-Rod documentary yesterday, actually.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wow.
Yeah. I had time on my hands.
Slow day, huh?
I had time on my hands. But it was just interesting because it's kind of relevant because he dealt with divorces and all, and obviously he's the king of off the field issues.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of what you sign up for when you're the Yankees, right? And when you're a fan base. And I think Bucs fans, this is new to everybody.
Yeah.
And you're trying to figure out how to react, but you have to get comfortable with it. If you want to have Tom Brady on your team, if you want to win Super Bowls with him, this stuff's going to come. There's always going to be stories out there about this stuff.
And listen, this is new to Tampa Bay, a guy with this type of star power and magnitude.
And it feels like this is still such a small town, even though it's growing.
Yeah.
And it just feels like this is just way over everybody right now.
I can't imagine, and I haven't seen this, and I'm a little shocked, to be quite honest, because when you go by where Brady lives, I would expect to see tons of paparazzi, out there waiting to get a shot of Tom or get a shot of Giselle moving out or whatever. She's gone. She's living in Miami now. She's going to the gym in Miami. They got pictures of her going to the gym in Miami. She's solo. She's not. I guess the kids are living up here with him now. I'm not sure. Tom was on his podcast the other day talking about his son is playing football now. Yep. He's a freshman. He plays quarterback and safety, I think. And he was talking about how he enjoys watching him play and just for the fun of the game and does like the fact that he plays quarterback. So he's talking about his kids. And, from personal experience, when you go through this divorce situation, you do lean on those, especially if you have older children, you lean on those relationships that you have with your kids. And I'm sure Tom will do that. A lot of people were speculating, well, this could mean that he's going to play longer. I don't necessarily think so, because there's still the pull of being with his children as they are getting older. I think this kind of locks him into being his last season, to be quite honest with you. I think he would want to kind of move into the next phase of his life. So that'll be interesting. I wonder who he'll be dating next.
I'm sure there's odds.
A lot of the ladies in South Tampa getting.
I'm sure Bovada or somebody has those odds out there.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm not interested myself.
I wonder we could put those odds out there. Who will he be dating next?
Listen, I'm all for this comment right here from Michael Hall. Amen, brother. I'm far more worried about Brady's shoulder than his potential divorce, and maybe the ability of Gage and Beasley to pick up better cleats so they don't keep falling down on the field.
Christ, right?
Amen.
Come on. Someone else, we mentioned all the other adversities that he's played through. Aaron Hernandez case too, right? He kind of, he tends to put these things behind him or use this as fuel. And Jeremy Lowe saying Tom will be fine. I'm
putting this one up from Jeremy Lowe because I agree.
Yeah,
just cuss.
Yeah, when your boy's down, no sense in throwing logs on the fire. Maybe that was a poor choice of words. It's just, AB, you're such an ass. You are such an ass. I can't believe
he was on this team.
Yeah. Well, I told you, don't bring him in. Don't bring him in. We wouldn't have won a Super Bowl without him. I don't know about that. Scotty Miller back then was doing just fine. Not so much anymore.
I miss him on the field. I don't lie to you now.
What, who, AB?
Yeah.
No, I don't miss him.
A little bit.
I don't miss him at all. And look, we forget the fact, and AB's good, I get it, but we forget the fact that Scotty Miller was doing great, and anybody playing opposite those Godwin and Evans is going to get a lot of single coverage. A lot of guys could have done what he done, and we would have been a lot better off. Maybe we would have gone back to back. You ever think about that? Because when he took his shoulder pads off, everything went south in the offense because we were counting on him, which you should never do. But we got the ring. Everybody, that's the most important thing. But for Tom, it's going to be and I think maybe even now there's a better chance that Gronk comes back.
It's just weird. Like
dude, like your buddy is your best friend. Tommy and Gronky, he's struggling on the field. He's struggling. I wouldn't say he's struggling in life. This is just part of life, but it's a hurdle. It's going to be tough. It's going to be very public. Things will get ugly. There are lawyers involved already, which is, that's only going to make things worse. Obviously you have to when you have big cases like this, but the lawyers will tend to make things worse. There's going to be maybe some bad stuff that comes out that he's going to have to deal with. But again, I think he's mentally tough enough to deal with it. Yeah. So
I think Gronk, regardless on the field, he needs to expedite his return if that's still in his plans. If he was planning to do one of these after bye week things, maybe he doesn't want to make the Germany trip. I don't know. It needs to be expedited, in my opinion, because right now you look at it and I don't.
He needs you.
Yeah, and I've been concerned.
I said this last week. Come on, man. Come on. What are you doing, Gronk?
Yeah, and I've been thinking about it. Are we being too hard on the Bucs to the first 4 games of what we've seen? Are we acting like the sky's falling?
Some people are, which I think is ridiculous.
Some people are, and I want to
we're going to talk about that today.
We're being critical of the team because we have high expectations now. Yeah. High expectations call for better, and you look at the talent, just hasn't been there.
Yeah.
But I look at the tight end position in particular, and now Brate has a concussion protocol. Wasn't really doing much anyway outside of that. Kyle Rudolph, they've just decided he's past it. We're not even going to play you.
Yeah.
And then you're down to 2 rookies, one of who whatever, I don't know, regardless of the fact that he had a great catch, Keeft.
Yeah.
I don't want him running routes.
No.
So you're basically you're getting nothing out of there right now.
I mean, you have to. You brought in Kyle Rudolph. He looked good early in camp. He really did. I guess he's broken down. Although the only time he played, he ran a nice route and caught a ball. They're going to have to use him at this point. They're going to have to. So we'll see what he's got. Or, damn, Gronk needs to come back.
Yeah.
I'm really, really, especially with this development, I'll be shocked if he does not come back. And again, there could be something there that we don't know. He could have a lingering injury where he can't play. Those broken ribs last year, that's punctured lung.
I just feel like they've been teasing it for too long already. I mean, we played that whole little thing they did, armchair.
Yeah.
The armchair quarterbacks.
The Rising Phoenix.
I mean, they're teasing it like right in front of your face, and it just feels like such a letdown if it doesn't happen. I know that the crap really doesn't matter to them, but
yeah, it just seems right. The time is right for Gronk to come back. And Lord, what a shot in the arm that would be for this offense. It would help out in the running game. Yeah. It would help out in the passing game. I mean, it's very rare that you have an opportunity that there's a guy out there who would fit the bill and help you out in so many ways. He is available. He's not going anywhere else. You have the money to pay him. He's needed. His best friend is in. I mean, like Jiminy Christmas. It doesn't get any better for an opportunity here. It just doesn't. It really, like at this point, we've kind of joked about it, but like man to man, like, dude, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? I don't want to, get up on it here, but Rob Gronkowski, if you're the dude that we think you are, I mean, is it too much for us to say your ass needs to be back? What are you doing?
You wonder, is there some trepidation on his part? Maybe it's like, because we've talked about it, and we talked about with Scott Reynolds. Some of these guys who are already like 32, 33, 34, you may think you've got something left in the tank, and then you go out there for one play, and you kind of go look around and go, "Oh,
it happens
man,
fast.
Oh man, I'm out of." And it happens like this.
It can happen. Fast.
It can happen any week.
Yeah.
A good example is Warren Sapp. You remember 2002? He had one of his best years on that Super Bowl run. 2 years later, he didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
It was just like that, right? I mean, it just happens to these great players.
You fall off the cliff, especially at certain high contact positions.
Yes, and he plays a very high contact position. And if he's coming here, it's not just to catch passes, man. It's helping out the run game.
Yeah, he's got it. I mean, it's a brutal game. It's a freaking brutal game, and I get that. And there probably are tons of things that we don't know about his health. Hell, it could, he may have gotten a concussion last year and has already, seen his brain scan. And they can do that these days, folks. We had the doctor on from Harvard.
Chris Nowinski.
Yeah, Chris Nowinski at the Super Bowl.
He's probably a relevant one to have on again right now.
Yes, we really should bring him on. It's a great point. And he said that we're doing these brain scans now, and we can get a really good feel for how advanced your CTE is. Whereas before they always said, well, you got to, we never know until we autopsy the brain. Well, now they've done so many brains, I think over 200 brains now, that they can match up the brain scans with the CTE they find in the brain. And there's a pretty good, reliable diagnosis now of how far along is it. And I think when these players see these brain scans and they go, oh, you're 10%, you're 20%, you're 30%, whatever it is. And maybe Gronkowski has seen his brain scan and said, I'm never playing another down of football. We don't know that. And if that's the case, God bless you. So I don't want to get too much on my obligation horse here, but those things not being present. And if it's just, I don't feel like playing football anymore, feel like it. Come back for you. It's about, you got to get your ass out
and
there.
He just might be checked out. It's just, once you're checked out of this game, it's hard to really get yourself back in it. I think Gronk maybe had the itch to get back when he retired the first time, because I don't think he really wanted to retire.
Yeah.
It just literally, he was a shell of himself. He was breaking down. It was
bad.
embarrassing for him, I think, and he had to go. But I think in his heart, he still wanted to play more, and he got that opportunity in Tampa Bay. And I mean, there was no drop off when we saw him, clearly, but like we said, you just never know when that day's coming.
James says, just curious, not being selfish, but could this mean TB12 stays in Tampa a couple more years? Great place for kids. Just saying, listen, he ain't going to move to Miami. I don't see him moving to Miami now, not where because Gisele's going to live in Miami. And I think that was all Gisele. I think, I don't think Tom, I don't know. I'm not like I know Tom that well, but I'm just, that Gisele, Miami seems like a Gisele place. And I don't know about for Tom. For kids, like bringing up kids in an environment that you want Miami or Tampa. Are you kidding me?
No.
Come on.
We don't know. I don't think.
Come on.
I still think, regardless of what happens here, this is it for him. I don't think he's going to go somewhere else for sure.
I don't think so.
I think 3 years, we've always kind of said 3 years feels like the right amount of time.
Yeah. I just feel like this has already been a tough season for him. He's probably had moments of regret, especially now with what's happened to his marriage. A lot of everybody's saying that he gave up Gisele for football. And even though I know you don't want to talk about it, but there's a narrative out there that, and we've talked about this. If your man is at the top of his game and he can still do it for one more year, and we know that, the infamous Tom has talked about it, Gisele's talked about this, what do you have left to prove after winning his 7th Super Bowl? She's clearly been on, and she talked about it in her Vogue article, that she was upset that he went back to play football. And there's a lot of people that say, man, if your spouse, whether it be a man or a woman, are at the top of their game and they can still do it, why not support that in every way, shape, or form? And maybe Tom is saying, yeah, why not support that? Why not support me in this? And you're not supporting me in this. And I get that, if it were, but you can make the same case for her career. Although I think in modeling, especially now, she's 41 and she's still on the cover of Vogue. So she still has years left as a model, and certainly is going to continue her career. And it's, like she says, I've been taking care of the kids and all these other things. Okay. I mean, they probably have some help. I don't picture Gisele having to stay at home and make dinners and do laundry and all this other stuff and cleaning up the house. I mean, I may be out of bounds by saying all that stuff. I don't live in their house, but I doubt that's going on. And to compare it to regular situations where people, or where women give up their entire careers, she's been working. She's been doing this whole thing all along. Maybe this is a misogynistic. I know you could come at me all you want, but I'm just keeping it real here. I'm keeping it real. I think a lot of people have that feeling, and I'm not saying, again, we're not in the home. We don't know how it all works, but I think there's a lot of people that have that opinion. And maybe Tom has that opinion.
I just think it shows that there's probably not many more people that are passionate at their job like Tom Brady is about his. I think we've already proven that long ago, but this is just another example that he's willing to go through all this to keep playing, to feed. And he said he was tormented by that, by the way.
Yes,
He's
tormented.
used that word, tormented.
Tormented, yes.
And chasing this. And he would never wish anybody to be like he is right now and to keep doing this, but he does it anyway. And we've talked about it too. This is really uncharted territory for an athlete in team sports. I mean, the examples are there of older athletes who keep playing despite they have nothing to prove. Look at Tiger Woods is the greatest example. But Tiger Woods doesn't have this big out profile family or anything. Like, he's got Charlie, obviously, but I don't think he's married, right? He's just been always dating, correct?
Yeah, right.
So we haven't had that to deal with. And when you're playing, I think, in a singular sport, it's a lot more, I don't know if easier is the right word to navigate than when you're in a team sport
because it's not
setting.
a team sport. Absolutely. You can make your own choices about how many tournaments you play, where you go. I mean, it's all very.
And I was going to bring up Serena too, but her husband's there at every single tournament.
Yeah,
obviously
much easier in an
it's
individual
a lot
sport.
easier in an individual sport than it is in a team.
You don't have you don't have scheduled training camp.
Yeah,
you don't have schedule. You have a season, but you can work your schedule.
There's
around.
no book for dummies to navigate this through. There's nobody to talk to about this stuff.
Yeah,
you're just kind of winging it. And
nobody plays till 45 when their kids are this old and have so much, so much of that responsibility. And again, I just, maybe there are people in Tom's ear going, well, maybe you should be playing. You should be getting more support in this. And if she's not supporting, and then and I got to put Richie P's comment up here just because, it was jokingly said on this show how Brady's move to Miami was going to lead to divorce. It was said in joking manner, but us Floridians knew there was a little truth in that. Absolutely. I'm sorry, folks, but there's a big difference between the culture of South Beach and Fisher Island and Star Island than there is Davis Island. Okay, I've lived on Davis Island. I know the people on Davis Island, and I know a lot of people that live on Fisher Island and Star Island and South Beach, and it is two completely different worlds. Davis Island is very family-oriented. People running around on golf carts with their 6 kids, going to the park. There's a couple of coffee shops, some a nice little pizza shop, 220 East. These are nice restaurants, but they're not South Beach. They're not even freaking close to South Beach, not even remotely close.
Just because I pulled it up here, Florida has the 6th highest rate of divorce of any state in the country. Massachusetts has the 10th lowest.
Yeah. But I'm just talking about in terms of culture.
I know.
And when she moves to South Beach and is with that culture of people where it's all, beautiful. Everybody's hanging out with everybody, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a sex, glamour, drugs, rock and roll culture. That's what it is. And that ain't Davis Islands, folks. That ain't even close. So when you talk about, when she wants to move down there and they're living here, there's wants and needs there that are completely different. These are all things that we're speculating about it. I get it, but everybody's going to be talking about it. And I think it's interesting conversation. We're not going to steer away from it. We're not going to get into salacious stuff, but this is, everybody goes through relationships. I think we can all relate to this, in some ways, but then it's very unrelatable in other ways in terms of the money and the fame. But I do think it's worth the conversation. So we're not gonna steer away from it. It's part of the deal, and I think it's fair game to talk about it in a respectful manner, which we will do.
Yeah, and I wonder.
So AB, you can suck it and stop doing what you're doing.
I just wonder. He's scheduled to speak today, right?
No, Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Yeah. And that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting as to, and I think it's a fair question. It's absolutely 100% fair question. Tom, how would I phrase it? I would say, Tom, obviously the reports of your imminent divorce are out there. Is there anything you would like to say about that in terms of how you would like the media to handle this, how you would like the fans to handle this? There's support that you're getting from the outside. What can you tell us about this? And do you think it will affect your preparations anyway? It's a fair question.
And he'll likely say, I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah, and that's fine too.
That's it.
And that's fine too. And but I think it's a fair question to ask in a very respectful way. And I do think a lot of people want to support him, and he needs support in this time. He really does need support in this time because it's tough. You can get in a very, very lonely space when these things are going on. So, yeah, I think And I think we go back to training camp, and I said this at that particular time when Devin White said what he said. It pointed exactly to what we know he was going through, and now is confirmed that these were marital issues, and he needs prayers, he needs support, and I think he's going to get that from his team. He's going to get that from his organization, and I really wish he would get it from his best friend Gronk. Really wish that would happen. So let's hope that happens. All right, to other stuff. Todd Bowles yesterday, according to the Times, and on his radio show, I guess he's doing a weekly radio show, basically said, and I'm trying to find the exact quote here, that there were issues with preparation for the Storm. I mean, after the game, he went all NFL coach like he should and said, no, this has nothing to do with it. Tip your cap to the Chiefs. They played better than us. We're not going to use that as an excuse. But during his weekly radio show, Bowles acknowledged, this is from the Times, that all the moving and distraction impacted the team's preparation. Quote, the biggest thing is preparation and practice, he said. You'll play how you practice. With all the movement last week, I don't think we prepped as well as we should have or as well as some people could have. But preparation will be key this week. Story continues. It's understandable why the Bucs have been a bit distracted with so many family members accompanying them and worrying about what was happening in Tampa. The Marriott Biscayne Bay, where the team stayed, was also under construction, and one of the meeting rooms leaked, characterized as a waterfall by the Bucs. Do you happen to have the Tristan Wirfs quote? We'll find it for later in the show. We'll do that. But I talked to Tristan after the game, and we asked him about that. And I thought he was very forthcoming. He's like, no, we're not going to blame it on that. But look, there were kids running around the hotel. Everybody was in their rooms with their families and their pets. And they did not get the rest that they would normally get.
And I think a lot of people from the outside that they just don't understand how athletes really are wired. And they go, well, big deal, right? Welcome to problems. Welcome to having some problems in your life. Big deal. Deal with it.
Right.
I think people need to understand that athletes they're just not like you.
Yeah.
They're not like you and I.
No.
They're just not. And I think Scott did a great job breaking that down yesterday. These guys live in, most of them live in these big houses.
Yeah. Scott Reynolds.
Yeah.
Peter Report.
Yeah. They isolate in rooms or whatever, or they do training somewhere else, wherever it is, to get themselves right mentally, physically throughout the week.
Yeah.
And those who are married, usually the wife is with the kids and like they're down the hall or whatever, and it's all understanding of that.
Yeah.
And when you're in the
Daddy's
season,
got to rest.
And when it's a 4 or 5 month sprint or marathon through the season, everybody's just understanding of that's how it works. And when you kind of just take somebody out of that routine for a little bit, it messes you up. So, I kind of just sidestepped it and said, and they've said it too, we always knew the game was coming. 8:20 on a Sunday at Raymond James Stadium we could have changed, but it never really changed. They knew that day was coming. But it is the preparation part and it's the rest part that we really didn't take into account. And I think it's valid, especially what Raheem Nunez-Roche has told Scott Reynolds of saying, and I'm still dealing with the wounds from Green Bay.
That's right.
And it showed.
Yeah.
It showed on that defensive line because they were nowhere to be found.
Yeah, even though they had an NFL facility, you don't have the same cold tubs, you don't have the same situations. Your routine is off dramatically, and guys have certain things that they do. They'll tell you that Monday you're super sore after the game. Tuesday is a big rest day. You're laying in bed most of the day. You're not doing a whole lot. You get up to get the muscles going a little bit, but that's a full rest day. Yeah. Wednesday you're back at practice. You're getting your body going again, but it hurts. Thursday, you're starting to feel good again. Friday, you're about ready to play. Your body's healed up. And you push that back a couple of days. You're getting on a bus. You're getting on a plane. You're getting, you're moving around. You're not sleeping in the same bed. You don't get the same amount of rest. Your body does not recover as much. And that looked like a tired team. It looked like a fresh team against a tired team. And where they got their mental reps and they got their practice in, where I think that, what you can't really do is replicate the rest situations when you're moving around that much. And
it likely would have been.
You played against, would the Chiefs have won? Yeah, they outcoached them. They outplayed them. I think they would have won the game anyway, but it wouldn't have been as lopsided.
No, and I was going to say it likely would have been worse if they went with the other plan, which was go practice in West Virginia and then play in Minneapolis. I mean, you want to talk about getting even worse if that's possible. It could have happened. So, I mean, I of course it went into it, but trying to, I guess, look on the bright side here. I mean, the Bucs are 2-2. Everybody did expect them to, I guess, be 2-2. We just kind of hate the way they got there, right? But the reality is they lost both games by a combined 12 points.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, I'm not worried.
I think it could be a lot worse. So the sky's not falling here. You just need a good deal of health, and I know every team's going to go through that. The Bucs have a lot of aging guys on the roster, and I think that's a valid thing that we can point to. Is maybe did you misjudge a little bit of how much you're going to get out of these guys? I mean, I think that's fair, but let's see how they do against lesser competition. If you're struggling to put away Atlanta, if you're struggling to put away Pittsburgh or Carolina, then I think we can have this discussion thoroughly about, is the sky falling here? But until then, you've played good competition.
All right, let's take a break. We are brought to you by Emerging Investigations, Emerging INV. If you need help with a spouse, you have some questions about what's going on with your spouse, you have a missing person, you have some legal matters where you need a private investigator, insurance fraud is something Emerging Investigations does very well. Contact them at emerginginv.com. They are the #1 Tampa Bay private investigation agency. So check them out on their website. Also, Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. If you've had some issues with your insurance company in terms of an auto accident, not getting what you deserve, then give them a call, JeevesLawGroup.com. Back in 3 minutes. Corey Long's going to join us, covers the Bolts and college football for Walter Football. We'll talk about that and the Bucs. So we'll talk about all things Tampa Bay sports when we come back. Stay with us.
Let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you.
Now, more with JP on Fan Stream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Emerging Investigations, emerginginv.com, Tampa Bay's #1 private investigation agency, and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Corey Long, the Renaissance man that he is. He was there covering the Bucs, covering the Lightning, of course, for NHL.com, writes for Walter Football, college football expert. What can't you do? And from what I hear, he can cook it up in the kitchen pretty good as well. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Doing well. Yes, I am. I like to consider myself an above average cook.
I do
too. You can't have a physique like mine and eat out every night. Trust me.
Us. Yeah, I'm the same way. I love cooking because, first of all, I'm way better than most restaurants I go to. I think you probably feel the same about your cooking because you cook it the way you want it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And by the way, have you been to a restaurant lately? My God, every burger is $17 now. Jiminy Christmas, who can afford to even eat out anymore? For God's sakes,
I don't know. Like, it's really like I wonder every time I'm out. I'm like, am I in Vegas again? Like,
right?
What are these prices?
It's insane. You're looking at me, Nick, like I'm crazy. Like
no, I'm not. I'm like, have you tried to get wings out and about lately?
Oh, my God!
Like I'm paying like $18 or $20 for 12 wings, and I'm not getting fries. By the way, no fries come with that.
Yeah, what the hell? Oh, yeah. Thanks, Joe. All right, so let's jump into. I don't know where you want to go first. I saw you at the Bucs game covering that debacle the other night defensively. Are you worried about the Bucs? Because I'm not. I'm not worried about the Bucs.
No, I look at it like you just have this was a weird week that they were really ripe for kind of an off day on both sides, which was both sides of the ball. It wasn't, offensively, obviously they got a lot of points later, but they couldn't get anything going early and they got behind. What they attempt 6 rushes.
Six rushes total. Yes.
Yeah. So no, this was just a week. You got to travel to do camp. You got guys obviously concerned about other things. It just wasn't going to work out for them. Especially once I found out the game wasn't going to be in Minneapolis, I said, "Ooh, this could be even rougher."
Why?
I feel like if the game was in Minneapolis, they'd at least been able to not. They probably would have just hit the road and been a little bit more focused.
Yeah,
being away from home.
Yeah, I think from a mental standpoint, they got all their practices in, they got all their meetings in. I think it was more just a rest factor that they look like a tired team more than anything. Kansas City looked like they had more burst, more intensity, whereas the Bucs just look kind of tired.
It just was it did feel like there were just the teams were playing at 2 different speeds completely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do have concerns about the Bucs offensive line at this point, because I think that's their big. They don't seem to. When I look at the all 22, they're not moving people. Shaq Mason and Tristan Wirfs at time they move people. The other 3 guys, and I'll put Donovan Smith in this as well, and I think a lot of it has to do with his injury. He's just he's not moving anybody, and they're in the creativity of the running game that we saw in Week 1 against the Cowboys with the jet sweeps and the counter trays has gone away in the play calling. So I'll blame Byron Leftwich for that as well. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I mean, I think everybody's kind of is a little off right now. They definitely miss Ryan Jensen. It's not just how good of a player he is. It's the attitude. It's the leadership. I think I think other guys feed off of him and they just don't have that.
Agreed.
He's such an easy guy to follow. You see him throwing guys down. You see him getting nasty. You want to go out there, get nasty. You want to put guys on their behinds. And I think they really miss. I think they really miss what he brings to them from a leadership standpoint. The way guys just feed off his energy, they feed off his intensity.
I could not agree more. That is a great point. And whereas you can look at Hainsey and say, he's not killing you, but is he really helping you? Is he really helping you? And this is where I thought, when Jensen went down, I really thought that they should have gone out and gotten an experience center and had Hainsey learning the role this year more, and then playing him at left guard gives you more depth. They didn't do it, and I think also they're very thin there in the interior line right now. If they get an injury right now, things are going to get even worse, and that's not so far-fetched. So that's where my worry is. I'm not worried about Brady, given his personal situation that we've kind of known about anyway. I'm not, but because I think he'll be fine when he has his weapons. He just has to have his, and he's not going to get you legs or anything else. And I think we saw the passing game to life because of that. I'm okay. I think as long as they have Evans and Godwin, I think Gage gets a little bit more healthy. At this point, I'm not counting on Julio for anything. So if he gives me anything, it's a bonus. But those are my concerns at this point. I
am a little worried about the tight end position just because Brady loves to work the middle of the field so much.
Yeah,
and,
good point.
Even with Brady, it's a bit of a concern. Without Brady, it's just like it's a non-existent position, it feels like.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up with Kyle Rudolph? Like, what the hell happened there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And Gronk is not coming back. I just have this feeling that Gronk is way too happy retired this time.
Selfish.
I know.
Come on,
Jerk.
man. Jerk. I mean, come on. Your boy's getting divorced now, and he doesn't have a tight end.
And you're out there holding keggers on a Tuesday night. Come on, really?
Come on, dog. What are you doing? He gave you everything you have. Come on, man. Your boy's in need, and you're out there hanging out with Camille doing TikTok videos. Get your ass out there. Let's go.
We know you barely have functioning quads by the end of most seasons, but still, go out there.
Yeah, come on.
Destroy your body for us.
Yeah. Do it for your
man.
That
guy worked so obviously he was his receiving in this, but it's like when you really focus on his blocking and stuff, guy worked so feverishly hard on every play.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he lasted as long as he did kind of surprises me.
I still think it's got to be ripping him up inside not to come back.
Oh yeah, I think he wants to play.
Yeah.
I just think physically he knows. And I mean, you're talking 3-4 years ago when he was still with the Patriots. He was talking about his block just by those seasons. Like he could barely. Like it just took everything he had for him to run. Like he just couldn't do what he could do what he needed to do for 8 or 10 games, but over 16, now 17 games, his body would just break down. I think he was tired of the recovery time. I mean, the recovery time just isn't as long as it needs to be for a guy like him. Yeah. I understand that. I mean, like the way he works and the way he plays, you can't half-ass that, you know?
Yep.
You can't half-ass the style that he plays, and I just don't think he could do it at a level he wants. I do agree with you. I think he definitely misses football, but I also think he probably appreciates being able to walk.
Yeah, absolutely. Corey Long joining us here. So we ran a poll yesterday, 164 votes, and I asked through 4 games with Todd Bowles taking over, the Bucs are 2-2. What would best describe your take on how Bowles is doing as a head coach? It's early. He's fine. Got 53%, the highest percentage. In over his head, got 6%. Better DC than HC. The defense coordinator, the head coach, got 38%. And he will win the Super Bowl, got just 3%. So, in essence, we got 44% kind of negative and then 56% kind of positive. So, I'd say the team, the fan base is kind of split on Todd Bowles as a head coach. What grade would you give him to this point?
I'm more like he's fine. I followed Todd Bowles when he was the head coach of the Jets, which is nowhere near as good of a situation as he's in right now. And I thought he was, as a head coach, I think he's fine. I think he's different. He's not particularly loud. He's not boisterous. His personality is, much quieter. So it's not like you're not getting fun sound bites out of him. You're not getting a lot of that stuff. So if you're looking for an entertainment aspect, he's not going to give it to you. But I think as a coach, like most, I think, head coaches in this situation with the staff that he's got and the veteran team that he has. Excuse me. He's letting the guys. He's letting the coaches coach.
Yeah.
He's letting the players have the input they need to have. I think he understands the team. I think he understands the situation. Like you said, we have 13 games left. There's a long time left in this season, and I mean, we'll see. Let's circle back around Thanksgiving and see where we are.
Right. And I think, because we were kind of going over it yesterday, there really hasn't been that, Jim Harbaugh moment where you need to, should you go for 3 or go for 7?
Yeah.
It hasn't been issued, not really been in that situation a whole lot. Obviously at the end of the Green Bay game, you got to go for 2 there. So I don't think there's been any real huge head coaching decisions that have needed to be made more than anything else. If I had any, I mean, you could say, well, the defense has started slow. Well, that's fine. If they start slow and only give up 9 points a game, which they did the first 3 games, who gives a rat's ass? But
exactly.
last week, did he get out coached a little bit defensively versus the Chiefs' offense? I think that's fair to say. I think Andy Reid got the best of him this time, but he got the best of him last time, which is much more important. So yeah, I don't. There's nothing negative I can say.
The Chiefs are really good still. Pat
exactly.
Mahomes is a really good player. Travis Kelce, nobody stops him. So it's not like
Exactly.
they're the Chiefs are a very good team. All right.
Yeah. All right. Let's go over to Jeff Scott a little bit over at USF. I don't know if
do we have to.
Yeah. Well, you're a college football expert, so give me 30 seconds on.
He promises more positive results in the second half of the season, which means he's conceding the game this Saturday. All right.
Unfortunately, we're on to Cincinnati. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that promise, we'll see. Look, I don't think he's getting fired midseason. I don't think it's as bad as it was last week. If we're going to give the Bucs a little bit of a pass for hurricane preparations, maybe we got to give USF a little bit of a pass as well.
No, we don't.
I give him a pass. I don't know if I give him a 41-7 down at halftime pass.
That's a lot.
To East Carolina. But I give him a pass overall for it being a very difficult week, especially when you got, your kids are from everywhere in the state. So there's a lot more concern there, in terms of families and stuff. And it's a tough week. It's a tough week. And this was not a normal week. And this was a week, this was serious. This wasn't a situation where this was the hurricane that the bark was worse than the bite. This was a serious situation.
Yeah.
So there certainly are. I'm okay. I'm okay with certainly giving them a pass in terms of the mental standpoint. But my issue is just the product just isn't there, and you're in year 3, and I can say that I don't think this team is devoid of talent. I've seen, the first team that Willie had is probably one of the worst football teams I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And they managed to win 2 games.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know. When you start looking at the schedule, Cincinnati, probably not. Tulane, I don't think so.
Nope.
At Houston, at Temple looks like it's a shot for a win.
Mm-hmm.
But then SMU at Tulsa, I don't trust them to win anything on the road, so forget that.
Yeah.
They get SMU and UCF. This is you can't be 2-10 in your 3rd season when you've been built, especially when he made a decision to go away from building a roster and getting a roster through the transfer portal. That was his decision.
Yep.
He decided we're just going to go heavy in the portal and get a bunch of kids. And the product still hasn't changed. And I told you, my concern with him is just his ability to run a program. I don't know if some guys just can't do it. It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
They're better, somebody's just better what their, where their strengths are. And I don't know that, I don't know that this is the right fit right now. If I looked at it and I said anything, I say this is not really a good fit for team and coach, for program and coach.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And I don't know if you got a chance to catch his press conference yesterday, but I listened to I think he spoke for like 35 minutes. And it was just one of those things where his theme was, we don't want to make excuses, but I'm making excuses. And here we go. And it's kind of getting tiring at this point, I think, for a lot of USF fans. And one of the things he said that just made no sense to me, he was asked about what he's seen in Gary's growth at all. And he mentioned what he did against East Carolina in the second half when the game was 41-3 at halftime.
When the game was 41-7.
Yes, and then he
he
threw out a wild quote about you look at Leary at NC State. Well, Gary had a better game than him this weekend, so that's growth. That's a wild statement, in my opinion, to
make.
make.
Who did Devin Leary play?
Yeah,
Clemson.
Yeah, I think the top 5 team in the nation.
Yeah.
It's just a wild thing to say. I mean, and Timmy McClain's obviously not here. Do you think he kind of misjudged that position a little bit going into the season?
I don't see the problem being necessarily the quarterback. I see the problem as being that he went away from a plan. Timmy was his young guy. I thought you could definitely see where Timmy had grown last season.
Yep.
And I think they were. Here's what I'm hard on Mike Norvell, but here's what I'm gonna say about Mike Norvell. He committed to Jordan Travis in the offseason, and you see what the commitment has done.
Yep, it's a good point.
I can say a lot of things about Mike Norvell, but damn it, he committed to Jordan Travis. I thought he should have gotten a transfer in there to compete with him. He decided, no, I'm going to give this guy the opportunity. I'm going to be 100% committed to him and making him a better player. And that's what he did. And the results have shown on the field. And this is where Jeff Scott failed. That's where the failure happened.
Well, he decided
late in the game that he was not going to commit to Timmy McClain anymore. And I just think what have you been doing for the last 4 months if that's the case?
Well, and I brought this up yesterday, and I think you make a brilliant point here. So I'll ask you this. There were quarterbacks that came at Mike Norvell in this offseason that he could have considered for transfer, and bringing somebody in that may have had a better resume than Jordan Travis.
I'll put out a name. Keaton Slovis was one, and I thought he should have taken him.
And Max Johnson was another. And Mike Norvell made the decision that, you know what, if I do that, there's a possibility I lose my team, because this is Jordan's team and these guys love him and they've gone to war for him. And if I do this, and this is a conundrum that all these coaches are facing across the board in college football. It happens every year. Do I go and you've given promises to certain guys? I'm not going to go in the portal. I'm not going to do this. You're my guy. And then here comes another guy. Right. And there's relationships on football teams. You know this, you've done it.
Yeah.
Is that something at play here that when Jeff Scott went out and got Gary Bohannon, universally, we all said, hey, this is a great move. This guy helped them win the Big 12. Did he lose his team? Because a lot of these guys were attached. I mean, Johnny Ford's a perfect example of this. So what do you think?
I think that there's certainly something to that. You never want guys to think, when players look, when you make, and I don't know what promises were made or what was not made, but if players think that you lack integrity, that you can't be trusted, then they're going to play for themselves. They're not going to play for you. They're not going to play for the team. And that could very well be a problem, is that they just don't, that's the coach they don't trust. If they don't trust you, you can't coach them because you don't believe anything they say.
And I'm not saying that's the case here with Jeff Scott.
I'm not saying
we're not taking personal attack on him at all whatsoever. I'm just saying league-wide, college football-wide, there are coaches that are dealing with these issues, and it can happen. And we don't know because we're not in that locker room. And from everything I've heard, the guys love Gary Bohannon. So, I mean, I'm not in any way saying, but I think this is a conundrum that a lot of coaches are dealing with. I think it's something that Norvell dealt with, and he decided to stick with Jordan Travis. And to your point, I think that has served him well. And I think it's a great point.
And I think two things can be right. The guys can love Gary Bohannon and still not trust the coach anymore based on a decision that he made. Both things can be true.
Yeah.
Because they're not necessarily going to fault the player for trying to go out there and play. He's trying to go out there and win like everybody else. But they can absolutely fault the coach for being if they can perceive him to be dishonest.
Yeah.
It's a tough area. It's a tough area to toe, but I feel like, you have to they have to be up front. Like we both talked about, with Mike Norvell, there were opportunities.
Yep.
And there were opportunities that I thought he should have taken. Maybe you thought he should have taken them too.
Yeah.
And, but you have to understand the temperature of your locker room and your team.
Yeah.
And he understood that.
Yeah. And
I don't know. I think we're putting a lot on the quarterback, but I don't know that. I don't know that Jeff Scott understands the temperature of this team, and I don't know that he understands what it takes to get things turned around.
Something's off because, and to your point of the talent, you can't go to Florida and outplay an SEC team in that environment, which they did, a game they should have won, and tell me that team's not talented. If you're not, you can't do it. You can't go toe to toe with a team like that, especially running the football, and then tell me there's no talent on this team. There's talent, there's speed, there's athleticism, there's all that. They just have not been able to put it together. But I'm going to say this, and I'm probably going to look really stupid at the end of the season, but I think we need to give it the whole year. We got to give it the whole year and base it on that, because there have been a lot of extenuating circumstances this year. I'm not throwing in the towel yet. If they come back and they win 3 of their final, 7 games, depending on who they win with 6 or 7 they have left, whatever it is, they can win.
Left,
if they can win 3 or 4 of these games, my entire perception of this program will change. So let's see what happens. If they get boat raced every game, then obviously, it just ain't working out. And Michael Kelly's going to have to make a change, but I don't see them firing him mid-season. I don't see it happening.
No, I don't think they should. I don't think this is like they're not in a situation that Wisconsin is in where the boosters just decided, you know what, Paul Chryst isn't the guy, and we'll just pay him whatever just to have him go. And hopefully we can give Jim Leonard a chance before he gets out on the open market sort of thing,
Agreed.
So.
Yeah. Hey, switching things to college football as a whole, last year at this point in the season, it was easy for anybody who watched the games to go, the best team in the country is Georgia. The second best team in the country is Alabama. And that was that. And that's what we got at the end of the season. Right now, I got to tell you, if you told me to rank the top 5 teams, top 10 teams, I really don't know what I'd do. I have to really sit down and think about it.
It's more wide open.
It's more wide open. I think it's a good thing. So, we've seen Georgia's vulnerable. The Missouri game, Alabama's been a little vulnerable. Michigan, I don't think has been great as the competition's gotten up.
Bryce Young's out for a while. Alabama's not winning.
Yeah, we'll see. So, just kind of what's your evaluation of what you've seen so far in college football as a whole, and is the gap getting wider or smaller here?
My evaluation really overall is that this is the year that you really should have an expanded playoff, and it's because the Big 12 conference, for example, which I think Oklahoma State and Kansas are the only 2 undefeateds left, but S&P rankings, it's by far the second best conference in the league this year in terms of the quality of teams. But what happens when you have a lot of quality teams? They beat each other.
Yeah.
So Baylor is 3-2 out of anything. And I still think Baylor is probably a 9-10 win team.
Mm-hmm.
So it's tough in these years. It's kind of why the playoff needed to be expanded. But there certainly is a little bit more. I feel like the top 5 teams are probably still. I think you can, however you want to put it. It's a Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, Ohio State thing. USC is certainly an interesting team to watch. Oklahoma State is certainly an interesting team to keep an eye on too. We'll see what I think. I think UCLA plays Utah this week, so we'll see what they're made of. Because I think Utah's a tremendous football team. But it's there are a few more. It's a little bit more. There are a few more question marks this year. That makes it fun, and that's why. When this thing finally goes to 12, it's going to be a lot more fun because you've got a lot more spots in the playoff to talk about.
Yeah, if
it were 12, only 4 teams are going to go.
Yeah, if there were 12 this year, as an FSU fan, you'd be going.
Yeah, you'd be going. Hey, you somehow can figure out a way to win this week, and you're back. You're back in the discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
As it is, by the way, with that, and I'll just say really quickly. This is where their recruiting has improved. Like they've been the last few years for various reasons. They've kind of had these recruiting classes that, are elevating the floor. Where the problem with that is that you can't have so many of those classes because your first team, your second team is the difference between the first team and the second team is just too significant. and they've got too many injuries right now. This is where their lack of playmaker depth is really hurting them. You've got good players that are assignment football type of kids that you want to see out there for 15 snaps. When they're playing 30 snaps, especially against a team like Wake where you got a really good coaching staff, you can get exposed. Those are the types of staffs that are going to test you.
Yeah, they got outcoached.
They got to get healthy.
Yeah, and they got to get healthy. They need Jared Verse to be 100% healthy, and he's not. He's probably got a strained MCL or maybe worse, because I saw him playing with a brace, and he would limp onto the field, make a play, and then limp off the field.
And you need Lovett to be healthy. I'm not sure if he's going to be back before the bye week. Robert Scott, their left tackle, same thing, because their tackle situation is just awful this past week.
Oh, that was
the kid from South Carolina just stinks.
Yeah.
That guy's awful. Like, I'd play Julian Armella at this point. I'd play a true freshman before I'd run him out there again.
He looks good. We were sitting 50-yard line, 20 rows up, and Armella was like on the bench right in front of me. And that dude looks like an NFL player right now. Like,
he's a good-looking kid.
I'm like, dude, somebody get 72 out there, man. That guy, he looks the part. Ain't no doubt about that. But
it's like I'd rather see what he can do and deal with the growing pains of that than put turnstile, whatever the heck his last name is.
Agree. I mean, we don't have time to go into this FSU game as much, but it was, Norvell, I'm telling you, Monday or Sunday to Friday is a great coach. His Saturday coaching, dude, is how are you going for two when at a 28-13 game? What the hell are you doing going for two?
That. He's from the American Conference. Yeah. He's used to playing a lot of Friday games. I think this Saturday thing is kind of messing up his mojo.
He's normally Brain's normally resting on Saturday, because apparently that's what it is.
Exactly. He's normally just watching games all day on Saturday.
And they could have thrown the ball at some point, dude. Your tackles suck today. You can't run the football. And they were, I'm sure you saw this. Wake Forest was moving from, I think, head up to the gaps, like right before the snap. Almost every single play, they were shifting down. And it totally confused the offensive line. They couldn't pass block. They couldn't run block. I mean, but they could throw the ball. He had time to throw the ball a little bit. Yeah. And just throw the freaking ball up to 14, for God's sakes. Just throw it up. Yeah. I don't care how many guys. He's a giant. He's a giant among boys. Yeah, I mean, and when they threw it to Pittman and Johnny Wilson, they had success every single time. But they didn't do it enough. So his in-game adjustments are terrible. His strategy is terrible.
There's only so far you can go with Adam Fuller as your defensive coordinator. And it's just there's such a limit on what you can do defensively with that guy. It's like it reminds me of like even Dom Capers, who just blitz every blitz.
Whatever. Yeah, it was it was a great atmosphere, given the hurricane situation. It was almost a full house. So we had a great time at the game, but it was frustrating to watch.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, because we got Wednesday night football tonight, my UCF Knights in action, because the game was moved for the hurricane. Just a quick note of what you've seen out of them so far at this point in the season.
They've got a wide receiver playing quarterback, and that limits what they can do with the passing game. But they're physical like I thought they would be. I think the loss to Louisville looks really bad in hindsight, really bad. But I think they have a potential to be. They're a little disappointing, because I think they could still be. They're a lot better than what they've shown. We'll put it that way.
All right, my friend. Always good to chat with you. Have you been covering the Bolts at all, or are you waiting until they actually?
Yeah, I went out to camp yesterday. I went out to camp. That was really one of my first and second trips out to camp so far. I've been so busy, but I'll be there. I'll be there for the preseason game this weekend. I'll be there for their preseason finale. I'll take a look at it.
All right, partner. Always great to chat with you. Let's grab a beer so we can really throw some bombs out there.
Absolutely. I think the game, FSU's playing at 8 this week. The preseason game's at 4. That works out perfectly for me.
Yes, that is good because I'll be over there as well. All right, my friend, good to chat with you. We'll talk to you next week. The great Corey Long.
All right, JP, you take it easy.
Find him on Twitter at Corey Long, CoreYLong. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. We'll get into the Rays-Guardians matchup, and we now know that faux show. We knew that yesterday because we knew the Rays are tanking. How can you tell when the Rays are tanking? You can't. All right, we'll take a cheap shot. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back on the other side. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you. JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT-3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations. Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Golden Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Golden Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Golden Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida. Military veterans, are you struggling with alcoholism or substance abuse? Is it taking a toll on your relationships and your work life? Are you having trouble focusing, constantly anxious? Well, you may not be surprised to know that your fellow military vets have your six. Heroes Mile is a new concept in rehabilitation clinics, veterans helping veterans. At Heroes Mile, we staff our rehab center with fellow veterans who can understand what you're going through. Our mission is to help you heal from issues that only your fellow veterans can truly understand. Located just outside of DeLand, we offer a full range of inpatient and outpatient programs dealing with substance abuse, post-traumatic stress, and military sexual trauma. We choose to serve veterans because we know how complex these issues are. You could choose to fight the battle alone or win the war together. We are the community care provider with the VA and also accept most major insurance. At Heroes Mile Rehabilitation Center, we have your six. Go to heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2. That's heroesmile.com or call 888-VET-NOW-2.
Guys, let me tell you about Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Are you experiencing low sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, and you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. Do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability. Not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Call 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Let's rock.
This is FanStream Sports with JP.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you in our second hour by BAMMC, Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo and his team over there will get you right, whatever your issues are. If you're looking for a new general practitioner, that's a good move to make because they take a lot of time with you over there. It's not 15 minutes in and out, write you a script, see you later, like most doctors' offices. They're going to take the time to find out what's going on with you, get your medical history, get your blood work done, find out what you metabolize well, what you don't metabolize well, and really just develop a personalized medicine program for you. If you're looking to lose weight, if you're looking for testosterone replacement therapy. By the way, saw something on the news last night that testosterone levels are going down 1% per year in American men. That's 10% a decade. Do the math. I mean, think about that. If you're 40, 50, 60 years old, how much testosterone you've lost from a percentage standpoint over your life. Folks, I'm telling you, it is an epidemic among men. And there's a lot of different reasons for it. But the bottom line is there is something you can do about it. And testosterone replacement therapy is something I've been doing for 6 or 7 years now, and I swear by it. And they do a great job of it over at BAMMC.com. In fact, we're going to have Chris come on next week, I believe, and talk just specifically about testosterone replacement therapy, because I know a lot of you guys have heard a lot about the myths. It's dangerous. It's bad for your heart, blah, blah, blah. Not true. Not true at all. When done in a safe and doctor-directed way, it can be extremely beneficial for you. And know this is not natural what your body is doing, having depleted testosterone. So this is a way to get your body back into a more natural state. So we'll have him on next week to talk about it. In the meantime, you can go chat with him as well. BAMMC.com. Just make an appointment, and he'll take care of you. You'll love his bedside manner, his information. It's tremendous. So check it out at BAMMC.com. All right. I want to talk a little bit about the Rays here. We're going to get into the Jeff Scott press conference as well a little bit later on, but it's set now. They're headed to Cleveland for a 3-game series. They're 2-4 against the Guardians this year, and they've scored 18 runs in 6 games. For a team that has basically offense has gone completely dormant in the last week and a half, 2 weeks of the season. This is not a good way to go into the postseason, and not a good matchup, even though you don't want to face Toronto. Look, all teams are good this time of year. So the matchup, it is what it is, but they've got to find some offense. I'm not worried about pitching. Clanahan goes in game 1, Glasnow in game 2. My guess is Jeffrey Springs
or Rasmussen.
Or Rasmussen will go in game 3, since they scratched Rasmussen from today. So Springs could come in after Glasnow in game 2. Lefty-righty combo there. I like the pitching scenario, but you're going to have to score at least 3 or 4 runs to win games.
Yeah, here's the reality here. The Rays are, of every playoff team, AL or NL, they're by far playing the worst baseball of any team going in. The Yankee, just last 10 right here, Yankees 6-4. Toronto 7-3 on a 4-game winning streak. Cleveland 7-3. Houston 6-4. Seattle 6-4. And then in the NL, every single team also is over 500. So, and the Rays are 2-8 in their last 10. I mean, you really, and how about the gap? To me, it's the gap. We go back to a month ago. Remember that Yankee series? And I came on here and I said, hey, the division's not out of the equation, right? Remember that? It wasn't that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
They had got it down to what, 3.5? The lead, it's now 13. That was not that long ago, and they've lost 10 games on that. It wasn't too long ago they were jockeying back and forth for Toronto. Toronto's 5.5 ahead of the Rays now. I mean, that just kind of puts into perspective of this fall that this team has had in September. I mean, they're playing their worst baseball. I don't think they've had a stretch like this all year, because even when they had all the injuries, they were keeping their heads afloat, playing like 500 baseball for the most part. They haven't played like this all year, and it's weird because they have all their guys back. So there's a disconnect there with me. Why is the hitting? I mean, you've been harping on the hitting all year, and I've been more, I guess, patient, wait till we get guys back, but they're here and nothing's working.
It's the thing nobody wants to talk about. And if this was New York, everybody would be talking about it.
I mean, they're going to win. If they don't win tonight, they're going to be an 86-win ball club. That doesn't, I mean, listen, again, we're going to be rooting our tail off for this team, but this 86-win team ain't winning the World Series.
By the way, at the beginning of the season, what did I say?
The offense is going to be the undoing here.
And they're a low 80s, mid 80s win team.
I told you, 200 run difference from one year to the next.
That was a great stat. 200 run difference. And when you can say all you want about what happened to Austin Meadows this year, and again, I don't judge how players do when they leave here. I judge how they did when they were here in this organization, in the analytics, in their situation here. He was a 100 RBI guy. You can't just take a 100 RBI guy out of your offense and replace him with maybes. Maybe Josh Lowe will come up and do it. Maybe Itzhak Paredes can do it. Maybe this guy can do it. Maybe we'll get this. You got to have proven RBI talent.
Well,
and they didn't do that. That was a huge mistake.
There were other things. How much other roster turnover was there?
And the other part about it is the injuries were decimated.
We knew Mike Zunino was not going to hit 33 home runs again.
Yeah, but we were hoping
for 20, and we didn't even get much of him the entire season.
Right. Injured.
Say what you want about Kevin Kiermaier. He's a spark to this team. He's not there. Brandon Lau hardly played all year and was injured when he was here. That's a bit. He hit 40 home runs last year.
Yeah, I know. The injuries
killed this team.
Yeah, there's no question about it. But then again, that's why you go out and sign more players. It's like Smoltz said, is if the way they operate, if they get any major injuries, then they can't do it. They can't do it. You have to have depth. And by not spending more money, you rob yourself of depth. And that's so when Yandy Diaz and Randy Rosarena get in a brawl. And by the way, what is our team since that brawl? 2-8. 2-8 since the brawl. The alleged. It was an argument. My bad.
That the turning point?
Well, what do you see? What do you see? The offense has gone completely dormant because Yandy's not in there. And Rosarena hasn't been great since it happened. The chemistry on this team seems off, right?
Yeah.
So, and nobody's talking about it because, of course, we have, 2 or 3 reporters that cover the team, and they're not going to talk about it because it wasn't a fight. Clearly something happened there. Clearly Yandy got injured. His shoulder was injured because I don't remember him having an injured shoulder before the altercation. And nobody's talking about it. And whatever, this team is limping into the playoffs. They wouldn't even beat playoffs. It wasn't for the extended playoffs. So this whole idea of measuring this as a successful season because they made the playoffs, I think it's kind of a little
and listen, I mean,
shaky.
At the deadline, we had this discussion. The Rays were, again, hovering, keeping their head above water when we got around the deadline. And there was a fair question. Is it worth giving up assets to go for it this year with all the injuries? So they kind of, they brought in stopgaps like a David Peralta, which, I mean, David Peralta's not the greatest player in the world, but he's a major league hitter, and it's better than having Luke Raley / Roman Quinn out there.
Right.
So I give him credit for that.
Right.
Christian Bethancourt, not the greatest catcher in the world, but you know what? He's hit a little bit since he's gotten here, and he's a better option than Rene Pinto.
Mm-hmm.
Jose Siri, same thing. He's a better option than Brett Phillips. I know y'all love Brett Phillips. Jose Siri is a much better ball player than Brett Phillips is. There's a difference there.
Yep.
So they brought in stopgaps to keep themselves in the game. And the point is, you just want to get into the dance and see what happens. You never know, but I'm just telling you, this team's chances.
I know.
I don't favor them.
I don't know what the team's chances
I don't
are.
favor them. I think they have a better chance, honestly, and we'll see what happens. I know Cleveland won their division, but Cleveland kind of backed their way in because that division stinks.
True.
To be honest with you. I know I don't want to disrespect them. They won 90 games, but they had a 10-game advantage. There's not a single team in that division that's over 500, I don't think. So I think they have a better chance than Cleveland. Of course, the Rays are going to have to go out there and prove it, but I think the Rays at their best are a better team than Cleveland. I don't think Cleveland has a great offense. I think the Rays have more guys in their lineup than Cleveland does.
But they're winning. They're winning games, and
they're playing. But again, that's a difference in the competition they're playing and the competition the Rays are playing.
Well,
it's only a 4 or 5 game difference between the two teams.
So you're picking the Rays over the Indians?
The Guardians.
The Guardians.
My
bad.
Am I picking the Rays against the Guardians? Yeah, I'm going to pick the Rays against the Guardians. And we'll take it from there.
All right. Lonnie Wilkins is already looking ahead. I know we won't, but he said, I know we won't, but Jose Abreu from the White Sox is a free agent after the season. We need an RBI guy, and boy, he would be ideal for us. Yes, 100%. Here's the problem, Lonnie. We're not going to pay him the money, and position players don't want to play at the Trop. It's a crappy place to hit.
Well, he pointed
Lights
out
are awful. Can't pick up the ball.
He pointed out there that Jose Abreu is hitting over 300 for his career
at the Trop. That's right. There you go. And then bring the Brinks truck up to Jose Abreu. If you can find somebody who can hit in the Trop.
I always thought that he was always going to get traded to the Rays. I feel like his name was always floated in the Rays.
Well, that's the only way you're going to get position players is to trade for them.
I'm just going to say
they're not coming here.
I just want to alarm you with Jose Abreu real quick. I know we're looking way ahead here, but I'll just point it out. He hit 30 home runs last year. He's usually hitting that. This year, he only hit 15, and he played 157 games. So I'm just going to point that out there. Not the same pop.
Here's another one from Lonnie. The team chemistry seems off and clicky since Brett left.
No.
And you say Siri's is much better player than his.
Yeah,
I think
he's a much better
player.
He
has way more upside.
No, he's a much better player.
What's Siri hitting since he got here?
I'll get it right now.
Yeah, not that Phillips was lighting it up, but there are some intangibles that he brought to the team that. Hey, you know what? We were playing better.
Okay,
we were winning
Jose
more.
Siri in 55 games is hitting 242.
It's very KK-esque. And everybody
Brett
lost their mind.
Like
it's
130,
240.
He's hitting 130.
Well, Brett was.
Jose Siri was hitting 178 with Houston. He's hitting 242 with
good.
Tampa Bay, and that's almost in the same sample size. Some of the underlying peripherals aren't great. He strikes out a lot, but damn, I trust him more at the bat than Brett Phillips, and defensively, he's world class.
He is.
A much better player.
No question.
Brett Phillips is in AAA right now.
I don't even think it's worth debating the two of them. What they need are big boppers.
Yes.
They need to go out and sign 2 big boppers in the offseason, which they're not going to do, but they're going to have to trade for them. but go trade for him. Go get some proven hitters in this league that you can stick in your lineup each and every day that are going to give you, 90 RBIs and 20 bombs. And I know that costs money, but we're still at next year's payroll. You see what next year's payroll is at right now?
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, though. I mean, Wander Franco has been red hot since he came back from the other IL stint. Let's give him that.
Yep.
Right? He was really good last year in the Boston series in his first taste of playoff action.
And if Rosarena can get postseason of Randy,
postseason
Randy
Randy
the only
is
shot
coming.
we got.
Postseason Randy is coming. And then the Rays pitching. I mean, this is always, other than the Astros, I say it again, there ain't a single team in the entire American League that's got the pitching the Rays do, other than the Astros. Tell me they're going to put out McClanahan, Glasnow, and Rasmussen/Springs. And in the bullpen, Pete Fairbanks, by the way, has not allowed a run since July.
Yeah.
July. He's gone like 20.
Who else is good?
Jason Adam is very good.
He's very good.
There's a lot of guys in that bullpen.
JT
Chargois, Brooks Raley. Still, I think Yanni Trinos, I think Poche going down is going to open up the door for Yanni Trinos to get on this playoff roster. And I like what I've seen from him since he came up here.
Yeah.
Since he got back from his injury. So I'm just saying, I know it's
well,
the same
they're going to have
story.
to win every game 2-1.
Yeah, I know. It's the same story that the Rays, they need their pitching. And maybe you could say, well, they're putting too much pressure on those arms. And maybe that's true. But
we have a little glass now you can share with the folks.
Yeah.
And this is, the only problem with Glasnow is we can't expect him to go 6 innings. So even though he's going to start, you're only going to get 3 innings out of him, maybe 4, which is, we need guys to go 7 or 8 innings and just be dominant in order to win 2-1 ball games. So, well, we'll see. But it's good to have him back. And it's good to have him on the roster for another couple of years. That's even more impressive because you think about, I'm bullish on this team down the stretch. For the next few years. This pitching rotation freaking can stay healthy for God's sakes. But McClanahan, Glasnow, Rasmussen, Jeffrey Springs, I'm forgetting somebody. Kluber, who did his job this year in 8 innings.
I don't know.
Great job.
Yeah.
Did a great job. Did exactly what we needed him to do.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't. The Corey Kluber experiment, to me, I don't want to say it's a failure, but you know what he was brought in here to do?
Be Charlie Morton.
I guess so. Be the de facto Charlie Morton. He was brought in here to bring experience when you get to the playoffs because last year the Rays had none. How many games is he going to start in the playoffs guaranteed?
None.
0.
None.
So tell me how important Corey Kluber was. He didn't do his job. He didn't pitch enough to be trusted upon in the playoffs.
Well, I think they burned him out. He pitched made 31 starts this year, and he was really, really good up until about a month ago. And I think he ran out of steam. So if they could have, if they could have had a couple starting pitchers to split him for a little bit, maybe he'd still have a little gas left. Out,
Charlie Morton's way older than him, and he's still getting extended for $20 million bucks by the Rays.
Yeah, and he still should be pitching with the Rays, by the way. Yeah.
We're long past that.
No,
let's listen.
Still a big time whiff for the organization.
Let's listen to somebody.
That was one of the worst moves they've ever made.
Yeah, let's listen to somebody on the team. Tyler Glasnow here.
All right, Tyler, your second outing since returning. Cash mentioned he thought it was good that you went through a little adversity in the first and got out of it. How did you feel?
Yeah, it was a little, unsmooth, I suppose, in the first. Just kind of getting back into the rhythm and going out there. But yeah, I think part of the reason I wanted to come back sooner was to get one of those innings and kind of remember what that feels like and just remember kind of how to get back to even, I guess. I don't know, but it was good. I got out of the inning. It gave me a little boost and went in and kind of collected myself and then went out and found my timing and felt good.
Did you miss pitching with that defense behind you, specifically Jose Siri's catch in the bottom of the first?
Oh, yeah. It's always I feel like the Rays essentially always have a good defense. It definitely gives you a lot of confidence going out there knowing the people behind you are always going to make good plays. And I think being very defensive forward, it's definitely a pitcher's best friend. I got a lot of them here, so yeah.
For the way the 2 games went, were you fairly pleased about what you thought, hoped for, as good as better?
Yeah, I think for me it was more maybe not I wasn't necessarily looking for results as it was more comfort and being able to repeat my delivery and everything. And I feel like since AAA to now, everything's been feeling sharp and I feel like I have a good idea of what I want to do. When I do get a little thrown off, I kind of can always go back to my my baseline, and it feels good.
And how much are you looking forward to your next outing? Which cash that'll be in Game 2 of the playoffs?
Yeah, it'll be awesome. I'm excited. It's kind of why you play the game. You want to go to the playoffs, and we're there, so it's exciting.
Is that part of the reason coming back making sense for you too, to have that opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. I think that was the ultimate goal, working back to try and be in the playoffs. And now that it's here, I'm excited.
Yeah, it's been nice to see him in some postseason action, no doubt about it. By the way, the Rays, a week after the storm, decided to donate $1 million to support victims of Hurricane Ian, after the other two teams have done that well in advance. Sorry. Facts.
Who cares?
Were they guilted into it? I don't know. Were they?
That's an unnecessary shot. Unnecessary shot.
Facts.
No.
It's Tuesday.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Well, it was Tuesday when they donated, week after the storm. While we celebrate our fourth consecutive postseason appearance, we cannot. Bucs gave what, $2 million last week?
Oh my God.
For all those suffering from the wake of Hurricane Ian, Rays principal owner Stuart Sternberg said in a news release, "I'm proud that we are organizing, supporting, and donating to relief efforts across Tampa Bay, and grateful to this wonderful community for coming together to support those in need." They will be collecting Thursday at Tropicana Field, enter lots 6 and 7, and at West Shore Plaza from 3 to 7. The Rowdies will host a donation drive at 7:30 for their Saturday home game, with collections outside the Al Lang box starting at 4 o'clock. For the Wild Card Series, starts on Friday in Cleveland. The Rays are planning watch parties for Game 1 in Tampa at Sparkman Wharf.
I think I'm going to go check that out. A Rays watch party
at Sparkman Wharf.
It's not at
in the shadow of Amalie Arena.
I think it's going to be
about
fun.
half a mile from Ybor City.
I hope it's packed. I hope it's packed. I hope it's packed.
Well, the location is certainly
it's a better
than
location. I've never remember they've always done watch parties, and they always would do it at like the Guy Harvey Outpost or something. Did you ever go to any of those? No. I'm just not watching on the beach.
No, let's
Sparkman
see.
Wharf.
Sparkman Wharf could be fun. Game 1 probably on Friday afternoon. A little happy hour.
Yeah.
A little happy hour. Let's go to Sparkman Wharf and watch some baseball, boys and girls.
I'm going to try.
Weather's going to be good.
I'm off Friday night. Thank goodness. So
Yeah.
there we go. What does that say? Mary Jane Castor's going to be there?
And then Game 2 at Sparkman Wharf, and 3, if necessary, at the St. Pete Pier. That'd be fun. Parties will start 30 minutes before first pitch. Game times have not been announced. A Tampa banner unveiling. Mayor Jane Castor, Rays President Matt Silverman, and mascot Raymond will unveil a Rays banner at the Tampa Municipal Services Building at 8:30 a.m. on Thursday. All right, a Rays banner in Tampa with Matt Silverman and Jane Castor together. What might they be talking about? A St. Pete flag raising. Mayor Ken Welch, President Brian Auld, Rays President, and mascot Raymond will raise the flag in front of St. Pete City Hall at 11:30 a.m. on Thursday. And a flag and yard sign pickup. How about this? Get your Rays playoff yard sign, young Nick, starting Thursday during regular business hours at select Crown Automotive, Canes Furniture, Tijuana Flats, and Kawa Coffee locations.
Is it?
Kawa Coffee.
Kawa Coffee. Yeah.
Kawa Coffee. Yeah. And you can get those starting on Thursday. So go to raysbaseball.com/postseason for a full list and times to get your sign. So there you go. Those are all the things going on with Rays playoffs this week. I'm trying to get more excited about it.
You should.
I'm trying.
You should. Just go and put on your jersey on Friday for Friday's show.
Okay.
Wear your jersey. We'll wear our Rays gear on Friday.
Yes, we will.
Let's get into it.
Yes, we will.
You know,
we'll start getting into it. I'll put the negativity aside.
Yeah, you need to put the negativity
as
aside.
best I can.
Listen, if you need some more new Rays gear, I'm just going to let you know. I was at the Dixon West Shore this past Friday, and there's a lot of Rays stuff. There are more Rays things.
Let's keep it
than
local.
More Bucs things.
Let's keep it local, and go to Heads and Tails right across from
well.
Dick's. Better selection, better service, local, not a corporate company. Just leave it there. Dick's Sporting Goods. I'll never shop in your place. So go to Heads and Tails or some of our local shops.
Wherever you want to go. I'm just saying inventory is out there, because I know a lot of Rays fans complain that there's not enough stuff to buy out and about.
Yeah,
I'm
Heads and Tails has a great selection.
I've been going around to all the stores, and it looks like there's more Rays stuff out right now than Bucs stuff or Lightning stuff, which is a good sign.
Yes. So go to Heads and Tails on Kennedy, right near West Shore there. No need to go to Dick's Sporting Goods when you got Heads and Tails. Much better selection, local place, wonderful place, and great prices as well.
Yeah, Richie says it right here. I'm always down with the locals.
Yes, we're always down with the locals. And by the way, if you have a local shirt shop or what are some of the other local ones? I'm trying to think. Team stores okay too. Support the team. That's all good. But those prices are usually
They're up. The Bay Republic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very,
so
very high.
so if you have any other locals, Heads and Tails is a great place right there on Kennedy and West Shore on the south side there. Check them out. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a little bit on the Jeff Scott press conference, which was pretty interesting. And then John Gerber's going to join us from DSP Media, our PGA Pro, because it is Wednesday and he's got his picks out. So he got the winner last week, big win last week. So get your pencils ready. Write this down because we're going to give you winners for the PGA Tour this week. Stay with us. Time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com.
Hey guys, Serena Fazan here for the Gold and Diamond Source. Are you looking for the hottest trends in men's jewelry? Ladies love to see men spice it up with something cool from the Gold and Diamond Source. Whether you're looking for a gold chain, fashion rings, even a pre-owned Rolex watch, or thinking about getting engaged, there's only one place to go. Go see my friends, Julie and Steve Weintraub at the Gold and Diamond Source for your one-stop jewelry supercenter. It's never been more important to shop local and support the businesses that support our amazing Tampa Bay community. None better than the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road, or online at goldendiamond.com.
Are you concerned your spouse might be cheating or want to locate a long-lost relative or love? Or a missing person and the police are not helping? An insurance adjuster who needs proof of injury. Hi, I'm Rachel D'Antonio from Tampa Bay's premier private investigation agency, Emerging Investigation. We have a proven track record of results. Local attorneys and insurance companies hire us to discover insurance fraud and crucial information in criminal cases. We can help in custody matters, and we devote a tremendous state-of-the-art technology and cutting-edge industry surveillance techniques to get you trusted results. Larger corporate agencies can be more expensive and do not offer the personal level of customer service and interaction that we pride ourselves on. We are a family-owned business.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMFC.com, and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES, lawgroup.com. If you've had a settlement from your insurance company, whether it be homeowners insurance or auto insurance, especially a totaled car situation, these insurance companies are known to give you a lot less than what your car is worth. And if they did that to you or did not give you replacement costs or all the expenses involved, then you may have a case against them. And Jeeves Law Group will get you some money if you have a case. Just give them a call. It's a free call. Go to JeevesLawGroup.com, JEEVES lawgroup.com, and you can contact them through the website. You can email them or call them, and they will call you back and see if you have a case. You may be missing out on thousands of dollars. So JeevesLawGroup.com, that's where to go. All right, we want to make you some money right now, so let's bring in our PGA Tour pro and handicapper extraordinaire, John Gerber, who had winners last week and is going to give us some more winners this week. What's up, John Gerber, PGA Pro? How are you?
Good morning, fellas. How you guys doing? It's good to see you guys back in studio.
Yes, it's good to be back, and our thoughts and prayers going out to everybody down south in Southwest Florida, which we are going to we're working on a couple things. We're going to get them some relief, so hopefully DSP Media and our whole group will chip in and get some relief for those folks down south, because
absolutely
sure
anything you guys need, definitely just let us know. We're definitely willing to help for sure.
Thanks, appreciate that. Well, here's how you can help. Everybody, take $60 out of your wallet, and that's we do you do 600 units every week, so you can
we do 800 units.
800.
We start at the beginning of the week with 800 units, so we have four outright winners and then 2 top 10s and 2 top 20s.
Yes, and last week, give us a rundown on how good you were last week.
Yeah, last week we had a solid week. We didn't really quite cash in on the winner. Davis Riley kind of hurt us a little bit. I thought he'd have a little bit better week, but we did cash in on a top 10 and Tyler Montgomery at plus 320 and Hayden Buckley at plus to finish in the top 20 at plus 420. We also were 3-1 on our matchup, so that gave us a plus $325 or unit profit for the week. That kind of jumped us up for the total of 25,035 units or dollars for the year, and it jumped us on our matchups of 95 and 53.
Dang, that's considerable jack right there, my friend. And your matchup numbers are incredible. How do you do the matchups? How are you so good at the matchups?
Yeah, if you look at it, I only pick matchups on Saturday and Sunday. I kind of look for them on Thursday and Friday to see how they're playing, kind of their mindset,
right,
where they really are making some mistakes. Now, one of the keys I look up a matchup is how they played the par fives, right? So all these guys hit the ball pretty far, but par five scoring for me when it comes to matchup is a real indication on how these guys are playing. And like we talked about before, the matchups, just because they're a favorite, it's a little bit about the money too, right? I mean, you don't want to risk so much money. Some of the matchups are better than others when it comes to kind of getting some return on your on your investment.
That's an interesting strategy, and it certainly makes sense. All right, so let's get to this week. The lads are at the Shriners Children's Open, which the Shriners, what a great charity they are, in Las Vegas. So when they were out in Napa, you were handicapping players as to their wine intake. So I'm sure this week in Vegas, you're handicapping players in terms of their gambling addictions or habits. So who's going to be focused this week and who's going to be at the craps table?
Well, yeah, you're 100% right. This is one of those hard weeks because you kind of add 2 or 3 things in my handicapping equation. How much these guys like the tables, how much these guys like to go to dinner. So it seems like it's a funny kind of thing to add in, but it's actually really true. So.
Yeah.
If you look at my picks this week, the top of the guy is Emiliano Grillo at 36-1. I really liked the way he played last week. The only problem last week, he made an 8 on the 16th hole last week to get him out of kind of probably winning the golf tournament. He played real solid. So I like him this week at 36-1 coming into some good form. The only thing I don't really like about him, he does like to roll those bones a little bit more than I like. So, watch for him to really kind of see where he's at. But coming into form, I really like him. There's some value at 36-1.
Okay.
At 45-1 this week, I like Cam Davis. I think he's had some success out there before. I like the way his confidence. I think he's going to kind of roll the confidence from the President's Cup and really have a nice, solid fall season for him. Mm-hmm. It's a perfect golf course for him. The elevation out there is a big deal. He's a long hitter, so he's really going to have irons in all these par fives. So I really look at his par five scoring to kind of catapult him to have an opportunity to win this week.
Mm-hmm.
Our third pick this week at 50-1 is Adam Hadwin. I'm friends with his caddy. He plays well out there. His caddy told me he's really striking the ball really well this last couple of weeks, but his putters have been a little bit bulky. So look for Adam Hadwin to kind of be on top of that leaderboard. He's not really a gambler when it comes to Vegas and those tables. So, look for him to have a solid week. And our ham sandwiches picked this week are Long Shot is Adam Svensson at 125 to 1. It's a real long shot. Another Canadian guy. He's not going to be, kind of wild with the Vegas kind of atmosphere out there.
Gotcha.
So he had a solid week last week. I believe he finished tied for 27th. So some of that good form coming in there. Watch for Adam Svensson at 125 to 1 to have an opportunity to win. 2 top 10s this week. We have Aaron Wise at plus 275. He finished T8 there last year. He's a Vegas resident. He knows that golf course real well. So again, living out there, the glitz and the glamour of Vegas is not really going to faze him. He's been rested, so I really like him with the success out there last year to have the opportunity to finish in that top 10. And look for our second top 10, Thomas Dietrich at plus 550. Look for this guy to have a kind of a not really a breakout year. He's a rookie on the PGA Tour, but he's played the European Tour for the last 5 or 6 years. Big, strong guy, had some success in the fall already. So look for him to have a really nice year and one of those rookies that you'll see a lot on the leaderboard. But I like him top 10 at plus 550. 2 top 20 picks this week, Tyler Montgomery at plus 160. Not a lot of value at plus 160, but the guy's coming into really good form. We cashed in on with him last week at plus in the top 10, but I like him this week in the top 20. Maybe this Vegas will get him a little bit. They won't get in that top 10, but I still like him coming in with some really good form to finish in that top 20. And our last top 20 pick this week is Ricky Fowler at plus 250. He's been spending a lot of time out there with Butch. He went back to Butch to work on his golf swing and his golf game, and he plays well out there in the desert. So I'm really pulling for Ricky, and I think this is a good week for him to really kind of jumpstart the fall season for Ricky Fowler.
All right, good stuff there, Johnny Gerber, PGA Pro. Tell out folks how they can get all your content at DSP Media Online, my friend.
Yeah, you can follow us every Wednesday at 5 to 6 on From the Rough podcast here in Dallas, Texas, and you can also follow me at J Gerber PGA Pro on Twitter. Every Wednesday we will profile the picks just like we did on air, and we'll give you a little bit more insight and information on From the Rough podcast every Wednesday at 6 to 7 Eastern time.
Yeah, it is a great podcast. We highly recommend it, and we recommend the betting as well. So, all right, partner, thanks for the winners. We'll talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thanks for having me on. Have a great week.
Great, John Gerber right there. Get you, and by the way, I just retweeted that, so all the winners are right there on his nice, wonderful graphic that he puts out each and every week. So, if you're not making money, it's your fault, not ours. We're giving you the winners in a lot of different ways. All right, before we go, we want to get into the Jeff Scott thing. This was from his press conference yesterday, and he opened it up. This was the opening statement. This was not a question or anything like that. This was just Jeff going right to it. Obviously, he's been looking at a lot of social media this week and seeing the disparaging comments about him and his program. There's so much good going on at USF right now. Right now, we're just waiting for his team to kind of play the way we think it can play. And I'm here to say I don't think firing him in midseason is going to do any good for this program. If you're a USF fan, I think it's best to support him. And I know it's hard to do at this point. And I get it. It's really hard to, as much as I like him and his family. This is about the results, and they got to be better. They got to be better. But I'm going to tell you, I know when I hear things in press conferences that, kind of light the light a little bit, this was one of them. And it's strange.
The season started, that we had a challenging schedule to start with, right? We could have played some of the teams that other teams played in the non-conference. We would have the exact same team we have right now, and we would be 3-2. But the message would be that we're so much better, we've turned the corner, and here we go, we're ready to go. And we'd have the same flaws and mistakes that we got to clean up. And the difference is who we played, right? And so I think the message for me to our coaches and to our players is, we got to fix the mistakes. There's no doubt there's mistakes, and we can play better, and that's what our focus has to be on. But let's don't walk around and act like we were favored in all these games, and we've just been, losing all these games. I think somebody told me the other day the 4 games that we lost, we were on average a 15-point underdog in all 4 games. So we're disappointed because we didn't play better in some of these. But at the end of the day, we got to keep our perspective and understand that we have 7 more opportunities, and I'm very confident that we're going to see some positive results here over the next half of the season.
Okay, a couple things there. Number one, he's right. They started with BYU, 25th ranked team. Where's BYU ranked right now?
Like 16 or 17.
Yeah. Okay. So they started with that. And they had Howard, who, of course, they beat, but that wasn't necessarily a beat down that it should have been. Then they went to Florida and should have won the game. Then they were non-competitive at Louisville and non-competitive against ECU, and I would say non-competitive against BYU. So, let's oppose the UCF schedule. Okay, so they played Georgia Tech, which is certainly no BYU, but a Power 5 team, and beat them 27-10. Then they played Florida Atlantic, okay, one of the worst teams, beat them 40-14. They played Louisville and lost. They won. They lost 2014. The way this is set up is really hard to.
Yeah, because it goes in opposite direction.
Yeah, okay, and then they beat South Carolina State. Now, had USF played that schedule, they certainly they could have beaten South Carolina. They probably have 2 wins, so they'd be 2-3 instead of 1. Yeah, do they beat FAU?
I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they do.
Listen,
there are other teams that have played. Like, there are other schools that have played much less competition than USF. He's absolutely right with that.
He's not wrong, but
just change out the BYU game to a gimme.
I don't
Slippery
care.
Rock. And
I don't care.
They're 2-3, and with almost beating Florida. And I think everybody's a little bit.
Yeah, but okay, we've already been over they're not devoid of talent on this team. Okay, I think there's some competent talent on the offensive side of the ball, especially. Is Louisville a good football team? The answer is no. They just lost to Boston College. They're not a good football team. They're very on and off.
They're on and off.
But you can't be non-competitive against Louisville in the current state.
It's the non-competitive part.
You can tell me that East Carolina. I can tell you that East Carolina is a better team than maybe people think. But I think they were favored by 8.5 in that game. It can't be 41-3. I don't care who's on the field.
Yeah.
It can't be 41-3. You're giving yourself no chance. So for Jeff Scott to get up there and say, "Oh, well, we're not favored in these games, so what do you want us to do?" I want you to be competitive.
Being favored in the games is kind of silly. He shouldn't have mentioned that and that's the problem I had with it, because part of the reason you're not favored is because of you as a coach.
You're not good.
Your coaching staff is not good, and that's why you're such huge underdogs. But he's absolutely right. If they don't get a bad call against Florida, that bad PI, personal foul, and they beat Florida, what is the conversation?
If they beat Florida,
what's the conversation?
But then you got boat raced in the next 2 games. I really wouldn't care. It was
come on.
It always was going to be able to follow up. It was always going to be able to follow up.
Come on.
It's
That's
the
not
follow-up.
fair. That's not fair.
It is fair.
That's not. No, if you're sitting there at 2-3 right now, you'd say, "Oh, they got a little over their skis and they were overconfident, but they beat Florida, so they're heading in the right direction."
If they beat Florida, but then you get bounced by Louisville and you get bounced by East Carolina, you're going to tell me that we're in the right direction? No, we're not.
No, but this conversation is totally different. Listen, I don't want to seem like I'm being a defender of Jeff Scott, but I surely sound like one. Play the next one. You have another one too that we wanted to get to, right?
I mean, that was the only one that I.
Okay, all right. So, look, that doesn't sound good, but partially it's right. And had they, and you say, well, they didn't beat Florida. Well, that's true. They didn't.
You didn't do it.
They screwed it up. They did 2 bad snaps. They had a chance to win the game. They should have won the game. And had they won the game, we'd be sitting here talking about, oh, they're headed in the right direction, even if they get those 2 bad games against Louisville and ECU, because you'd say, oh, it's a little bit of a hangover. Look, the bottom line is what's left. They got 7 games left, and I'm going to judge them on the entirety of the season. And listen, if they get boat raced, and I'm not shocked, if they get boat raced in all these games, then look, you gave it a good shot. You picked the wrong guy, fine. But let's give it some time.
He did say some other things, and of course, this is not groundbreaking that Jeff Scott thinks he deserves some more times. But just to sum it up for you all, I mean, he said some other things like, it'd be a mistake to tear down this program and restart and do all that.
Absolutely right.
I don't disagree with that. And here's the thing: if you get rid of Jeff Scott, I mean, who's taking this job? Who's taking that? It's going to look a little bit more desirable with the practice facility and the stadium. I get that, but I look at other programs.
People have floated names like Dan Mullen.
Dan Mullen's subjective. Dan Mullen to me is better than this program. He wasn't a bad coach. He was winning 9-10 games at Florida.
To the SEC championship game.
Exactly. I think maybe
2 years ago.
I mean, we poke at Dan Mullen a little bit. I think he's a much better head football coach than USF. He had Mississippi State afloat for years in the SEC.
He's a good football coach. He's
not a USF
coach. He's just
better
not a
than
great.
that.
He's not a great recruiter. And you know what? Dan Mullen's probably better off at a place like USF.
Maybe. I mean, Gus Malzahn is at UCF now. He's at Auburn, and it just kind of works. I get that.
Because you're never going to develop. You're never going to recruit at a high level at USF. And he's proven that he can win with 3-star players.
You want to get Scott Frost in here? I'm not even actually kidding, to be honest with you. I'm not
he did
kidding.
Great. He turned UCF program around.
I don't know if he'd do it because, I mean, how much does black and gold run through his veins? But
come on. I mean, if we could get Scott Frost, hell yeah.
Shit, I don't know.
Hell yeah. I mean, I'm not kicking Jeff Scott
I'm just looking at other, I know Kansas is a Power 5 team, but they've done it. They went from winning 5 games in 3 years or 5-0.
I know.
They found their guy. That gives me, if you're a USF fan, you should have a little bit of hope because that program that's the deadest program there ever is. Vanderbilt, same way. And they're taking steps. They look like they found their head coaches. You can do it.
Yeah.
I just don't think if Jeff Scott's the jury is way, way still out there on him right now.
Yeah.
To see if he's the guy.
Again, the conversation would be completely different had they finished off that game at Florida, which they had every chance to do. All right. Our thanks to Corey Long. We had a great, conversation with him. Really appreciate him jumping on. Great conversations. We talked a lot about Brady, the divorce situation in the beginning of the show. If you want to go back and check that out, a lot of USF talk today as well, FSU talk. So we covered it all, as we always do, the Rays as well. If you missed anything, go back, download the app, FanStream Sports. You can always listen on the app. It's back up now after the hurricane. We had a little break from the app, but we're back now because we're back in studio. So check that out as well. And please retweet and tell everybody about the show. Have a great day, everybody.